Have you ever been in, say, a really intense game of chess or maybe even a strategy game online, and you get to this one moment where you just look at the board and you just know, you feel this deep certainty that no matter what your opponent does next, you have a sequence that guarantees a win.
That feeling, yeah, that feeling of absolute structural certainty. That's exactly what we're digging into today. We are exploring Zermelo's theorem, which is the mathematical bedrock that proves this feeling isn't just intuition, it's applied logic.
And it's truly foundational, right? We're talking about the literal starting point for all of game theory.
That's right. In 1913, Ernst Zermelo published this paper, and it is universally considered the very first formal paper on game theory. It basically set the rules for analyzing strategic interaction with pure math.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What are the rules? I'm guessing you can't apply this to something like, poker.
Correct. No, it has to be a deterministic environment. So for the theorem to hold, the game needs to meet 5 key criteria. First, it's a 2-person game. Second, players have to move alternately. And third, this is the big one, there must be perfect information. No hidden cards, no secret moves.
Right, everyone sees everything.
Exactly. And fourth, no chance, no dice rolls, nothing random. And finally, it has to be a finite game, or at least have a rule that prevents endless repetition.
So if a game meets all those criteria, what does Zermelo's theorem actually promise about the outcome?
It promises solvability. The theorem states that for any game like this, one of 3 outcomes is structurally guaranteed. Either player 1 can force a win, or player 2 can force a win, or both players can force at least a draw.
A draw, okay. But this is where I always get a little hung up. If Zermelo proved chess is theoretically solved, why can't we just run the solution? I mean, the number of possible moves is just astronomically large.
That is the most fascinating part of his proof. He wasn't just proving that a winning strategy exists. He provided a logical guarantee about its efficiency. He showed that if you're in a winning position, you can always force that win in a finite number of moves. And critically, it will never require more moves than there are total possible positions in the game.
Wait, how can he prove that? That it won't just wander around the board forever?
It relies on something called the pigeonhole principle. In simple terms, if you have more pigeons than pigeonholes, one hole must have more than one pigeon. Zermelo kind of used the inverse of that. He argued that if a winning strategy repeats a board position, it means you took an unnecessarily long route.
Oh, I see.
You could have just made the winning move the first time you're in that position, right? You would avoid the repetition and win faster.
So the non-repetition rule inherently forces the winning strategy to be the shortest possible path. That's actually very elegant.
It is. And connecting this to the bigger picture, that proof is why this is still so important. We associate it with chess, but Zermelo's logic is fundamental in computer science. It's used for systematically checking outcomes in really complex digital systems.
So that certainty, it goes way beyond the chessboard today. It's in things like verifying software or making sure autonomous agents can interact successfully.
Precisely. And speaking of structured strategy, this deep dive is powered by our sponsor, Embersilk. If you need help with AI training, automation, or uncovering where agents could make the most impact for your business, you should check out embersilk.com for your AI needs.
Now, before we wrap, you mentioned something earlier I wanted to circle back to. I've always heard about solving these games using something called backward induction. Reasoning backward from the end.
Right, and that's a common point of confusion. It seems like the obvious way to do it. Yeah. But Zermelo did not use backward induction in his original paper. His whole proof was based on that non-repetition idea we just talked about. Yeah. Backward induction was formally introduced later, in 1928, by another mathematician who built on Zermelo's work. So Zermelo gave us the foundation, and others gave us the tools to explore it more efficiently.
So what does this all mean, then? That gut feeling we started with, that sense of certainty in a game. It wasn't just intuition. It's Zermelo's logic. The ability to prove that even incredibly complex games are logically certain and solvable. That feels like such an optimistic idea. It really highlights our ability to apply structure to chaos and find these elegant, definitive solutions.
It's an amazing testament to the power of mathematics to conquer complexity. A beautiful thought.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe to the show. Hey, leave us a 5-star review if you can. It really does help get the word out. Thanks for tuning in.